Nobody, and I mean nobody, does media samples like Bardstown Bourbon Company. Now, there have already been a few videos about this one, so I figured I'd wait until today to give my take. This is the newest addition to the Bardstown Bourbon Company Origin series called Simply High Wheat. Now, the best part about this one is not only the stats, but the price. But does the taste hold up? Come right back, it's the Mash and Drum. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C. from the Mash and Drum, and welcome back to the show. Like, subscribe, and help me keep climbing to that 100,000 subscriber milestone here in 2024. Appreciate the support. Okay, so the beginnings of this whiskey is interesting. Now, if you don't know, Nick Smith, Director of Distillation and Head Distiller for Bardstown Bourbon Company, has worked alongside Master Distiller Steve Nally since the company's founding. Steve Nally is a Bourbon Hall of Fame inductee known as the Wheat King, named for all his years he distilled amazing whiskey over at Maker's Mark. So let me crack open into this a little bit. Again, it's like a box and a box and a box, and then you pull this out. Nice little image of some wheat grain. You unfold it, pull this out. What the hell is this? What the hell? There's batteries in here and a friggin' LED light. Hold on a second. That's just about the most badass whiskey sample I've ever seen. We might have to have a little fun with that before I sign off today. All right, so I was talking to a good friend of mine over at Bardstown Bourbon Company, and they had stated that the original idea for this bourbon was actually supposed to be 100% wheat. Whether that was a wheat whiskey or a wheated bourbon at 100%, I'm not really sure. But Bardstown at the time didn't have enough wheat grain to test that theory. So instead, this mash bill was created, Steve Nally approved, and the high wheat was born. Give it a pour. Now, according to head distiller Nick Smith, he said, once we perfected the distillate, we focused on the aging modifications that would make this whiskey best in class. The lower barrel entry proof of 108 pulls more wood sugars in from the onset, leading to a drinking experience that is elegant and complex. Now, Bardstown's high wheat bourbon is comprised of one of the highest percentage wheated mash bills in the bourbon category at 39%. All right, so the rest of the details: Origin High Wheat, the second wheated bourbon in the Origin series, is comprised of 53% corn, 39% wheat, as I stated before, and 8% malted barley, aged for 6 years. It's bottled at 106 proof and launches this Friday at a suggested retail price of only 50 bucks. All right, let's dive into this light show. Here we go. So this is wheat and corn forward, although it's pretty sweet from the onset. It's definitely fruit forward. I feel like there's a nice mix of citrus and maybe a little stone fruit there. When I was reading the press release, it does say there's a little bit of lemon on the nose, and I think there is some lemon here. I know lemon is not something I always, pick up pretty easily, but I could see lemon in this as well. I think that low entry proof going into the barrel, it really does help with the sweetness here. Because for a 6-year-old, you would think that it's not as... There's some darker flavors, some deep, richer kind of caramel and vanillas here as well. So it smells pretty solid. When you hear high wheat, it's going to depend on what happens on the palate here. So here we go. Cheers. So normally when you think high wheat, you think, a nice approachable profile, which I do think you get here. However, what I really, take from hearing the words high wheat or, wheated mash bill is a finish that's going to be really light and easy. And while there are aspects of it that I do feel like that it does carry a nice little spice punch on the back end of this. On the palate, it's a little bit more oak forward than I thought it would be, especially for a 6-year product. There's a really nice sweetness here, tons of vanilla, that caramel, that weedy profile that I was kind of a little bit worried about. I don't know about you guys, I'm not the biggest fan of wheated bourbons. I mean, there are some good ones out there. But for 50 bucks, I'm really smelling and tasting the lemon now, I feel like. Maybe it's just in my head, but yeah, once you sip this more, it gets real sweet and easy, extremely approachable. But man, the finish on this, I think, is a little bit more, there's just more stuff going on than I thought there would be for a high wheated bourbon. Between Bardstown Bourbon Company and Green River this year, those two, Bardstown Bourbon Company now owns Green River, but those two entities have brought some just fantastic, affordable new entries into the market. And who knows, this could be the darling of the Origin series or end up being the darling of the Origin series. But let's taste it against their 100 proof wheated bourbon that's also in the Origin series. All right, so this is the Bottled and Bond Origin series wheated bourbon from Bardstown Bourbon Company. Now, again, this is a 6-year wheated mash bill, but the mash bill here has only, we have 20% wheat. So 20% wheat compared to 39% wheat. 100 proof versus 106 proof. $10 difference, you get more wheat in here. Let's see what we get. Man, the citrus is really coming out in the high wheat. It's getting more and more citrusy. Yeah, that sweet core note is still there on the high wheat. Let's compare it to the Origin. Wow, it's amazing how less sweet this wheater is. The original Origin Bottled and Bond compared to the high wheat. All right, let's give it a taste. So the Origin series Bottled and Bond, I do feel like there's a little bit of that DNA within the high wheat. I do think it's a little bit citrusy, but it's also a little bit darker, I think. For the high wheated bourbon, I feel like those citrus notes, the brighter notes, are coming to the forefront a little bit more. And that's that spice-driven finish that it has, although it's still delicate, but a little bit spicy. It's just a different experience. The Bottled and Bond wheated bourbon goes more orange to me. A little bit more orange, vanilla, kind of that creamsicle combination, some oak on the back end. It actually drinks a little bit lighter on that 100 proof point. It's kind of just, this might be an even easier sipper than the high wheat is. And when you kind of look at the labels, you would think, well, how's that possible? This has this has 19% more wheat in it. But I think that low entry proof, the 106 proof point, I think I might like this high wheat even a little better. And that's probably just me liking a little bit of a higher proof, again, being at 106, but 50 bucks for this. When this drops Friday, I would highly recommend anybody that's nearby or where Bardstown, now I don't think the release is gonna happen immediately, where all Bardstown Bourbon Company products are sold. But if you are in one of those markets that get these pretty early, I would actually highly recommend picking this up. I'm gonna be testing this against Maker's Mark, a couple of other my favorite wheaters on the market, just to see, how this holds up. But that's got a real shot. The one thing I would, people will probably want to compare it to is the sweet wheat from 1792 out of Barton. And I could already tell you that sweet wheat from Barton is it's almost too easy sipping for me. It comes off like water to me. This definitely is bolder, richer, sweeter, so I feel like I would like this over the 1792 sweet wheat. However, putting it against, the likes of Weller, maybe Weller Antique, also, maybe some of the Maker's Mark products, that's gonna be interesting. So maybe an upcoming double or triple base on the horizon. But this, so far, this Origin series, this new bottle coming out, the high wheat, I would definitely recommend picking it up and trying it out, especially just for 50 bucks. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this sample review for the new Origin series high wheat from Bardstown Bourbon Company. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. And if you haven't yet, find me on Instagram. Let me know if this one kind of captures your interest, if this is one you're gonna be on the lookout for, especially for the price point. And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, but it's the people you share with. And before I go, see you next time on The Mash and Drum. Cheers, guys.